Welcome to GCtv episode 3. We're here in downtown Portland and we're asking people the question, how are you managing your information intake as it relates to the coronavirus and the news in general? So I have a lot to say on that because there's so much research out right now that talks about the importance of managing our mood, managing our attitude as it relates to being productive and efficient in the world, in our professions, in our relationships. And the thing with the coronavirus is, what's up, William Cordova? I'm going to wave to y'all, let you know I see you. The thing with the coronavirus is that there's a lot of information out there, and there's this big scare, there's this big wave happening right now, and the question that I want to ask people, and hopefully the question kind of gets them thinking about it, is how am I managing my information intake as it relates to this coronavirus and really news in general, because there's a lot of information coming at us faster than ever in the history of life here on planet Earth, and can be a little bit overwhelming. Hey man, do you have a second for a quick question? So the question is, what's your name first? Shaquille. My name is George. You're on GCtv. Question I have for you is, how are you currently managing your information intake as it relates to the coronavirus and the news in general?
Well, me personally, I feel like I'm not going to catch it, so I feel bad for the people that do catch it and stuff like that. I just feel like you got to keep, like your hygiene how you normally do. Yeah. To make sure you shower, wash your hands and everything like that, and hopefully you don't get it, but I don't think I'm going to catch it though.
Stay clean and healthy. That's the advice. So what about, there's a lot of information coming through social media, coming through the news. How much do you pay attention to it? How are you managing it?
I don't really watch the news too much because I feel like they just give us what they want us to hear. So that's my take on it, to be honest.
There you have it, folks. Thanks, Shaquille. Appreciate it, man. All the best to you. Hey, so you don't pay attention to it, because I think he said it. They feed us what they want to feed us, and that's the thing with the news, especially mainstream media, social media. They're going to feed us fear-based information because if everybody who is watching the news or watching mainstream media is in a fear-based response, we're in a contracted or defensive response. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but there's just a whole lot of information coming at us, and if we're fear-stricken, then we're not able to take action in the way that we could. Hey, do you have a second for a quick question? Sorry? You have a second for a quick question? Okay. The question is, there's a lot of information coming at us through the media, through the news. How are you managing your information intake as it relates to the coronavirus and the news? Do you have a quick thought on that?
A quick thought.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I think I have to think about my answer.
Yeah, so there's a lot of information coming at us. Social media, all of that. How do you manage information intake?
Like myself?
Yeah.
I think that I tend to be pretty moderate, so I eliminate folks who say that it's both extremes, I tend to throw out and try to absorb all the information and go towards the middle.
Gotcha. So more balance, more towards the middle, not too much information, not too little.
And then disseminate as needed.
Gotcha. Nice advice. Thank you. So there you have it, folks. Here, I'm going to say what's up to Fed. Hey, man, do you have a quick second to answer a quick question? Yeah. So you're on GCtv right here, and we're asking people the question, how are you currently managing information intake as it relates to the coronavirus and just news in general? What are your thoughts on that?
I try to stay up to date with it, every day. There's I know there's a online website that Johns Hopkins takes out every, updates daily with, the cases, and so I just want, I need to, stay updated on what areas it's at. But just news in general, I like to use the big finance apps, so CNBC, Wall Street Journal, and I kind of mute the notifications on my phone though, to only allow it in my notification center so I can see it when I need to, but I don't like the kind of second to second real time news that goes to my phone, because I feel like it kind of overwhelms me.
That's the key, because if we get too much information, we get overwhelmed. Yeah. So you're saying you kind of pick and choose the information that you want to learn, you stay informed, you stay updated, but you're not overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, exactly. I can't read every single article that comes my way, but I like to read if I see multiple news sources kind of having the same article, then I know it's kind of important, but yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. What's your name?
John.
Appreciate it, John. Take care. Yeah. Hey, what's up, folks? So we're here downtown Portland. What's up? I see Mary. See Frederick, what's up? See Judy. So we're here downtown Portland, Oregon, asking people the question simply, how are you managing information intake as it relates to the coronavirus and really just the news in general? Because the thing is that if we're constantly allowing ourselves to be fed with negative information or fear-based information, that directly influences our mood and our attitude. And so much research out now showing that our mood, our attitude, our state of being has a huge influence on our production at work, our production in our personal lives and professional lives. So, it's important that we manage that. It's a concept called, hey, do you have a second to answer a quick question? Quick question is, how are you, a lot of news out there, so how are you currently managing information intake as it relates to the coronavirus and the news in general?
I generally follow certain people on Twitter that I think are reputable and are trustworthy and who I have known for a long time. And I kind of get my information from them.
Okay, so Twitter, reputable people that you follow, get notifications from them. But
a few websites that I look at, the same group of people.
And how do you manage all the...
Bill McKibben. I'll get my information from him. I'll look at his websites. I'll look at his tweets and people that he will steer me towards. He's someone that I've known for a long time. I trust him to talk about Green New Deal and climate change, and so I'll get my information from starting with him, going in that direction. And I have key people that I've developed over the years. I hardly ever look at anything that comes from corporate-owned media, or especially the local media, which is all now just useless.
Smart piece of advice there. So you're informed, but you're not overwhelmed.
I don't feel overwhelmed. If I feel like I'm getting overwhelmed, I just stop looking.
Thank you very much, sir. Have a great one. This is just my Facebook Live. GCtv is what I'm calling it. Yeah. Thank you very much. GCtv episode 3, just getting off the ground, asking people the question, how do you manage information consumption? How do you manage the news? How do you manage all that information? Because if you spend the day consuming fear-based information, you're going to feel it. It's going to influence your mood, your attitude, the way that you feel, and thus influences every other area of your life. So the common denominator in your life is you. You take you everywhere that you go, and you take your mood, your attitude, your mindset with you everywhere that you go. And so it's very important to manage information consumption. And we're just kind of here, Portland, Oregon, asking people some questions about how they're managing information. So you got a second to answer a quick question? So that's what we're doing here, live Portland, Oregon, GCtv. Hey, if you're on this and you're watching it, in the comments below, I want to hear your strategy. How do you manage information consumption? Related to the coronavirus, related to, what's up, PJ? Related to just managing news, managing the media intake, because if we're spending a lot of time on Facebook or a lot of time on social media and it's undirected or unintentional, a lot of times we get information that has no relevance in our lives, number one. And number two is all fear-based. It's all negative. It's all designed to bring you down. And that's why if you watch the news for too long, you're going to feel like shit. So we're here, downtown Portland, Oregon, GCtv, asking people the question, how do you manage information intake as it relates to the coronavirus, and then also just news in general? Because you want to be informed, but you don't want to be overwhelmed. So do you have 1 second to answer a quick question? So we're here on GCtv, and we're asking people, what's the name first, by the way?
I'm Tim.
Tim. Nice to meet you, Tim. So we're asking people, a lot of news out there, a lot of information coming at you. How do you personally manage information intake as it relates to the coronavirus and just news in general?
Man, there's so many different news outlets that you can go to. I think that you just have to take each one for what it is, and not everything's going to be true that you read. And the media is all set up to be what it has to be. It's all political. It all comes back down to what their beliefs is and all that kind of stuff. So I would just say take it one news channel at a time and see which one works best for you.
So you're saying there's a lot more behind who's showing us the information and the intention behind it, and so your advice is to
just take it one step at a time. Whatever best fits you, I would say.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. You too. Yeah, there you have it. I think the common denominator so far in the people that we've interviewed are they're informed. They feel informed, but they don't feel overwhelmed. And I think that's a good strategy. What's up, Johanna? Thanks for joining us. Dave is in the house. Thanks for joining us. Hey, if you have something that you want to say, comment in the comments below about how you currently manage your information intake as it relates to the coronavirus, as it relates to the news in general. How do you manage and filter that information? Sir, you got a second for a quick question? Because there's a lot of it. So Johanna says, I don't watch TV or tune into news at all. The minute I got rid of my TV, my life shifted in a huge way. Pain in my body went away. Anxiety lifted. Joy fled in my life. Amen to that, sister. I don't subscribe to the feed. Plenty more on that. Hey, that's such great advice, It's an interesting time to be alive because we're not at a shortage of information, that's for sure. Anything that we want to find, we can find it. What's up, Charlene? Thanks for joining us. Talking about here in downtown Portland, talking about how do you manage information intake with the coronavirus and news in general, because it makes a big difference in the quality of your life. So as Johanna just recently mentioned, she said that she turned off her TV quite a while back. Kirby and I turned off the TV. We don't have cable, any of that. We have some smart TV channels, but that's pretty much it. But it makes a huge difference. If you're sitting there reading the newspaper every morning and that's part of your morning routine to watch the news, and you're getting your news feed from big corporate backed companies, you might be getting some skewed information. So you got to pick and choose where you find your information. As the other gentleman said, I forgot his name, but make sure it's credible. I think that's great advice too, and not to overwhelm yourself. I think with the coronavirus, for me personally, is affecting international travel. Done a little bit of research in terms of how it's impacting flights. Nothing national or locally has really been canceled from a flight standpoint. So as a professional speaker, I want to pay attention to that, but I don't want to be over inundated. I don't want to be overwhelmed with information. I just need to know the facts so that I can make an informed decision. So we're here downtown Portland. If you have some advice or something you want to share about managing information intake, about managing news regarding the coronavirus, about how you set up your day so that you're only consuming information that is uplifting or empowering or positive, comment below. I want to hear what you have to say. Let me take you back. So back in the year 2005, I had just resigned from my corporate job for about 3 years I had at the time. I was a manager of a telecom company, and not the whole company, but a manager, sales manager of a team within a telecommunications company. And after I resigned from there, I needed this big shift in my life. So what I ended up doing was I ended up going on this media fast where for 30 days, or this media cleanse where for 30 days, because I was feeling depressed, I was feeling hopeless at the time, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So I went on a 30-day media cleanse. And in that 30 days, I was... Hey, you guys got a couple seconds to answer a quick question?
Of course.
The question is, you're live here on GCtv. The question is, how do you currently manage information intake as it relates to the news and the coronavirus? Anybody got anything on that?
Twitter mostly.
Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay, just the main news feed, or?
Yeah, it's usually like I'm just browsing and I go on trending, and then it's like, oh, things are bad with the coronavirus. So I'm like, uh-oh.
How do you make the distinction between information that's purposely being fed to you and the truth and the facts?
Oh, I probably don't.
Okay. But got to
well enough.
Appreciate that honesty. All right, thanks for taking a minute with us. What's your name?
Alec.
Thanks, Alec. Have a good one, guys. So there you have it. Some raw honesty there. He's like, I probably don't know the difference between what's being fed to me and the truth. So Autumn Star, what's up? Just want to say hello. Carlos Mays is in the house. What's up, my man? So we are here live downtown Portland, asking people the question: hey, how do you manage information intake with so much information coming at us? It's so easy to get overwhelmed. It's so easy to get depressed when you watch it for too long. It's so easy to get sidetracked from our goals in and dreams, because when we're put in a state of negativity, it not only zaps our energy, because it requires more energy for your brain to process a negative mood than it does a positive one. So not only, is it zapping your energy, but it's sideswiping you from your goals and your dreams. So if you have something to say about how you currently manage information intake as it relates to the news or even the coronavirus in general, just make a comment below. I want to hear from you. I want to learn from you, because we're out here just kind of getting into people's worlds, getting all up in their business and asking them questions about, hey, how do you manage information intake? There's a lot of information out there. How do you stay informed versus overwhelmed? Hey, you got a second to answer a quick question, sir? So GCtv Live, we're going to look for maybe a couple more people to ask the question how they currently manage information intake. Thanks for joining us. If you're live here with me, in the comments below, or even if you're watching in the recording, in the comments below, just what's your take on information intake, taking in information and not getting overwhelmed by all of it, not getting depressed through it. So when I went on my 30-day media fast back in 2005, that 30-day media cleanse, I decided that only for 30 days, no more social media, no more news, no more any of that, that I was going to dedicate my attention for 30 days. What's up, Katie? Thanks for joining us. I was going to take 30 days and dedicate my attention to only positive, uplifting, empowering information, personal development information. And it was so amazing to see what happened in that 30 days, because I went from being like hopeless and depressed to being optimistic and open. And then, my life really started to take off from there. Ended up getting a great job with a pharmaceutical sales company after that, and two years later, resigned from that company, took 6 months off, and it was so much of it had to do with shifting my state, shifting my perspective, because the information that we take in, gosh, you got to hear this, is garbage in, garbage out. What's up, Jenny Gold? It's garbage in, garbage out. The information that we take in, that we consume consistently, is going to develop belief systems. It's going to develop a filter in terms of how we see and view the world around us, how we see and view other people. I know people who all they do is stay home and watch TV, and they watch murder mysteries, they watch the show Cops, bad boys, and they watch the news, and as a result of consuming information like that, they begin to look out into the world and filter their world with this belief system that says, hey, the world is a little bit crazy, it's a little bit dangerous, and people are a little bit wild and a little bit dangerous. So excuse me, sir, do you have 1 second to answer a quick question? Sure. So the question is simple: is how do you currently manage information intake? I'm gonna get you on camera here. How do you currently manage information intake as it relates to the coronavirus and really the news in general?
Well, I try to keep up on the news. I don't panic. I think that I'm healthy, and I think we will all survive one way or the other. But it's important to stay informed and try and keep up on it. There's going to be nothing good is going to happen immediately, so we just have to grin and bear it.
Got it. Thank you very much, sir. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Well, there you go, folks. There's another take on managing information intake. Hello, Travis. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. We're down here. What's up, Eddie? We're down here in Portland, Oregon. I'm asking the people the question on GCtv. Hey, how do you manage information intake? Woof. How do you manage information intake? How do you prevent yourself from being overwhelmed with the information versus being informed? So, just sharing a story back in the day, 2005, went on a 30-day media cleanse, and for 30 days, no negative information. I was hopeless and feeling depressed at the time, feeling a little suicidal even in 2005. And for 30 days, I decided only positive, uplifting, personal development information. And in that 30 days, man, things really opened up for me. I shifted from feeling hopeless to feeling optimistic and excited about the future. And that made a big difference. And so to this day, I'm minimizing the amount of noise that comes from specific news sources, so that I can make sure that I'm informed about what's going on, and I seek the information that I need, but I'm not overwhelmed and I'm not inundated by it, because once again, one thing that I'll mention is that our mood, our attitude, our state of being, our mindset plays a huge part in terms of how we operate in the world, our performance in our jobs, our how we show up in our relationships. And if we're sitting there negative all the time, feeling like shit all the time, feeling like the world's going to end every damn day, then it's going to show up in our behaviors. It's going to show up in our actions. And so we want to make sure to minimize the noise and just consume the little bits of information that we need as it relates to us as individuals. That's my take on it. Sir, do you have 1 second to answer a quick question? quick question is, you're on GCtv. What's your name, sir?
Andy Weathers.
Andy. So we are talking about how do you currently manage information intake as it relates to the coronavirus and the news in general?
Well, you try to take the information you get and see if there's anything new in there, first off. My biggest concern is just, how's it going to affect my community, myself, my family? And those points are pretty much right at the top of the news. Yeah. So once I get that, I move on.
So you're prioritizing the information that you're getting. And
well, there's lots of angles on it and political and the whole 9 yards. And at this stage, I just want to make sure that Portland's as safe as it can be and that there's nothing new that I haven't heard yet.
Very wise. Thank you very much, Andy. Appreciate it. All the best. That's a great take on it, guys. That's a great take on it right there. How does it impact? What's up, David? Thanks for joining us. What's up, Jenny? What's up, Kunta Duncan? Hope to see you at the Alumni Golf Tournament in June. Jenny, I don't have cable anymore. Everything online. Yeah, and that's something to consider. So much is coming to us online. And what's up, Rockstar Kara, Powerhouse Kara is in the house. But I love what my man Andy just said about consuming information, prioritizing information. How does it affect me? How does it affect my family? How does it affect my community? And then filter your information that way. I thought that was a really wise thing to say. So we're talking about here in downtown Portland, Oregon, hey, how do you manage information intake? How do you prevent yourself from getting overwhelmed and staying informed, but not getting to that place where you're like, oh my God, the world, because I find myself in that state of being sometimes if I'm on Facebook for too long or if I'm reading too many articles of the same, I find myself thinking like, oh man, the world is going to shit, and it starts to minimize my own personal motivation levels, and that's something that I specialize in, is helping people. Hey, do you have a second to answer a quick question? Question is simple. We are asking people, how do you manage information intake as it relates to the coronavirus and just the news in general?
How do I manage it?
Yeah, with so much information coming at us, how do you manage it? How do you filter it?
Well, there are a lot of just different trusted sources that, in the past have, steered me correctly. And I try to stick to, to what is legitimate and what's valid and ignore what's not.
How do you make that distinction between what's valid and what's not?
Research, honestly, checking the sources, checking the author, checking their background, or just the integrity of the source in general.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Have a great one. That's it. So research is important too. Getting your shovel out, digging a little bit. What's up, everybody? We're out here, Portland, Oregon, asking people a question. Hey, how do you manage information coming at you? Because it can be overwhelming at times. You watch too much of one source, you feel one way. You watch too much of another source, you feel a different way. And so if the target or the goal of life is to be in a sort of a happy, free, uplifted state of being, at least that's my target in life. I'd like to be happy the majority of the time. I know that the information that I consume, and just like our diet, the food that we consume is going to have a major influence on our body and our health, and the information we intake is going to have a major influence on our mindset. So you have a second to answer a quick question? Sure. Okay, quick question is, what's your name, by the way? Skylar. So the question is, how, with so much information coming at us from the news, coronavirus, all of that, how do you personally manage and filter that kind of information from the news?
I don't think I really pay attention that much. I don't know.
You just don't pay attention that much to it at all? Okay, all right.
I think we'll all be fine.
We'll all be fine. Thank you. Hey, we're all going to be fine. Sometimes ignorance is bliss, I guess. What's up, guys? What's up, Joette? Thanks for joining us out here downtown Portland, asking people the question, hey, how do you manage information? How do you make sure you don't get overwhelmed, but you stay informed at the same time? I like what my man Andy said earlier about making sure that, hey, first I'm checking in on me and my family and my community, make sure everything's cool there. Hey, do you have 1 second to answer a quick question? Okay. And I thought that was really wise. So we're going to find one more person here. What's up, Tara? Tara Taglienti is in the house. Thanks, Tara. I appreciate it. This is GCtv episode 3. What's up, Tundi? Episode 3. And this is where I sort of take it to the streets, if you will, and I ask people questions to really get in their psyche a little bit about, and today's episode is, how do they manage information intake? How do you manage the media? How do you manage the news? How do you decipher real from fake news? How do you decipher valid news from invalid news? And some people are clear and some people aren't. So it's kind of fun asking the question, because it also kind of gets people thinking, well, how am I managing? And hopefully that's doing the same thing for you too. hopefully you're thinking, gosh, how am I managing my information intake? You know, how am I making sure that I don't feel a sense of like anxiety or fear just simply based on the news? And if you do have a lot of anxiety going on in your world, I highly recommend, I challenge you to go on a 30-day media cleanse. So for 30 days, no more Facebook, no more social media, no more news. Just, you know, the coronavirus isn't going to destroy Earth's population in 30 days. Take 30 days, get away from it, you know, take a news sabbatical, go on that information intake, that information cleanse, if you will, and notice what happens. I know for me, when I'm feeling anxiety or when I feel even you know, this is aside from news, but a lot of times when I'm on Facebook, you know, I'm sort of measuring myself or judging myself based on the amount of engagement that I'm getting, or I might compare myself to other people and what they got going on and what they're posting, and I start to minimize myself. I start to feel a sense of low self-esteem. I'm like, fuck, this ain't mine. Excuse me, sir, do you have a second to answer a quick question? So this ain't mine. This ain't my shit. And anyway, I get fired up about it because, man, I mean, everything that I do is really, hey, do you guys got a second to answer a quick question? Yeah? So the question is, come on in. Simple question. A lot of information out in the world right now. It can be scary. It can be overwhelming. How do you manage information intake as it relates to the coronavirus or just the news in general? How do you manage that? How do you filter it?
Do whatever you want. Don't worry about it. Just do whatever you want, and then you're doing the right thing.
Simple, easy. You too?
Well, try and educate yourself, but don't feed into the frenzy, I guess. Just try and get the facts.
Might be some of the best advice we got all day. Just do what you want, and that's it. Don't feed into the frenzy.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
There we go. Have a great one, guys. That's right. Hey, do whatever you want. Don't feed into the frenzy. 2 really good pieces of advice. I'm going to wrap up there. This is GCtv episode 3, and we asked people the question, hey, how do you manage information intake? How do you manage all the incoming sources of news, of information? And so hopefully you got some insight. And hopefully the question itself kind of gets you thinking about, man, how much time am I spending, you know, reading these news articles, watching these videos? Where are they coming from? What's the source? You know, how much of it is initiated because it wants to produce a certain response within me. It wants me to be fearful. It wants me to be afraid. Versus checking the source and saying, hey, is this a valid resource? Is this somebody that I can trust? Is this somebody that has a good track record? So hopefully that helps. Hopefully it gives you some insight into how you can more effectively manage the information that is coming at us, because it is a wild time to be alive, my friends. It is a wild time to be alive. Information is coming at us faster and faster and faster almost every single day, every single week. Every industry is advancing. Technology, robotics, artificial intelligence, everything is advancing so quickly, and it's a wild time to be alive. So hopefully you're giving yourself space away from the news feed and away from all the stuff that's coming at us, all the information coming at us, and you're finding time to kind of be with yourself. And maybe that's meditation, maybe that's exercise, maybe it's playing with your kids, whatever it might be, but manage the information coming in. And most importantly, notice how the news that you're consuming, notice how it makes you feel. Notice what feelings it triggers within you. And if it's triggering something negative for too long, triggering anxiety, triggering fear for too long, you better get your ass away from it. Hey, GCtv episode 3 is a wrap. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.